All right, yesterday in science, we started talking about how the sun warms the land, air, and water. Today, what you're going to do is you are going to do an experiment and you are going to think about how the sun warms the air, land, and water, and how the sun, by warming it up, is giving off heat, and that heat can make things melt. So what you're going to do today is you're going to do an experiment where we are going to look at how during the day the sun warms up the air, and that warmth can make things melt. And then at night the air cools down again, and then the next morning the air warms up again, and this is all from the sun. And this is a pattern. It warms up during the day, it cools down at night. It warms up during the day and cools down at night. What we're going to do is we are going to do an experiment where we are using the warmth from the sun during the day to see if it can melt things. So what I sent is I did send a worksheet, and we're going to make predictions on our worksheet, okay? And what you're going to do is we're going to predict whether something is going to melt or not. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write my name at the top of my paper, okay? And I wrote it up at the top. Then what we're going to do is I have a list of objects here that you are going to collect, okay? And if Mom has a pan like this that she makes muffins with, you're going to use that. If she doesn't, you can use another thing. You could even use just a plain old tray, and that will work just fine as well, okay? All right, so the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna look for a Lego or a small plastic toy, okay? It can be anything. It can be an LOL doll, it can be something. But I want it to be little, and I want it to be something that can either fit into a pan like this, or it can fit onto a tray. Okay, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to get an ice cube out of the freezer. Okay, so I'm going to get an ice cube out of my freezer. Okay, and I'm going to put an ice cube into another little compartment of my tray. Whoop, I'm going to drop everything out of here. Okay, so now I have the ice cube in one of the trays. Okay, the next thing is I'm going to ask you to find like a little block around your house, or maybe a little piece of like a little block that you build with, or something like that, or something similar like a cube. So, and put that in one of the little containers as well. You're going to find a quarter. Okay, ask for a quarter, and you're going to put that in one of the little containers too. I'm also going to ask you to find a crayon and set that in. Okay, and then I'm going to ask you to take a little piece of butter or cheese, whichever Mom has in the kitchen, just a little bit of it, okay? And then you're also going to find a rock. Okay, now the reason why we're looking for a crayon too is because in the story you just listened to, Wendell Comes for the Weekend, what did he do with the crayons? He left them outside, and what happened to the crayons? They melted. And they melted because the air was warm from the sun, and it made those crayons melt. Now, I don't know if this time of year crayons will melt outside because it's not that hot yet outside. I think Weekend at Wendell's, or Wendell Comes from the Weekend, it was during the summer, so I think it gets a little bit hotter. Okay, so once you have those things all together, what we're going to do is you're going to put them outside in the sun, and you're going to let them stay out there for a while, maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours, depending on what you're doing during the day. You're going to leave it outside, and I want you to see if anything happens to the objects in your tray, okay? To see if that warm air outside was able to make the warmth from the sun, if it was able to make any of those things melt, okay? But before we do that, what I want to do is I want to go over your prediction sheet, okay? So let's take a look at the first thing. A Lego or small toy. Do you think it will melt outside? You circle your prediction, okay? So you choose what you think. Circle yes or no. I'm gonna let you circle your own to see, okay? All right, let's go to the next one. Ice cube. Do you think it's gonna melt outside or no? Circle your prediction, yes or no, okay? How about a wooden block? Do you think a wooden block would melt outside in the sun? All right, so circle yes if you think it'll melt, or no if you think it won't melt, okay? So you're making your predictions. How about a quarter? Do you think a quarter will melt outside? All right, so you're gonna circle yes or no, depending on whether you think the quarter will melt outside or not. How about the crayon? Do you think the crayon will melt in the sun? All right, so go ahead and circle yes or no if you think that crayon, okay? The cheese, or if you have a piece of butter, whichever one you're using, circle whether you think yes, it will melt outside in the sun, or no, it will not melt outside in the sun. And the last one is the rock. I want you to circle that. I want you to circle whether yes, you think it'll melt outside, or no, you don't think it will melt outside in the sun, okay? All right, so you're gonna make your predictions on your sheet, and then you're gonna set your sheet aside. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your tray, and you're gonna take it, and I'm gonna put mine out in the sun, okay? Hold on, I'm gonna set you right here while I open the door. Okay, and I'm gonna take mine outside, and I'm gonna put it in a warm, sunny place outside, and I'm gonna find out whether or not those things that I circled, yes, are gonna melt outside, or if they're not gonna melt outside. And then in a little bit, I want you to go and check on your tray and see if your predictions were right about what melted outside and what did not melt outside. And then what I'd like you to do is on Flipgrid, I would like you to share with me one thing that did melt and one thing that did not melt, okay? All right, my friends, have fun with the experiment, and I'm looking forward to seeing your results. All right, bye, friends.